I mean, I have a lot of faith in my young guys. That's why they're here. That's the reason they're here. Australia sounds fun. China sounds fun, but we'll be able to go.
It was supposed to be the golden era of Canada basketball, with golden opportunities lying ahead at the World Cup later this month. Instead, Team Canada will look for diamonds in the rough again and hope this roster is good enough to earn them an Olympic berth for the first time since 2000. Let's bring in Michael Grange, who you can read on Sportsnet.ca. Michael, this has been a very divisive, obviously, conversation. It's hard to fault players when they say, hey, they want to focus on the season. It's hard to fault players, of course, pulling out when they have injuries right now, but you can't help but still feel disappointed given the expectations that were there to start the summer and where we kind of are now with the roster, can you?
I think it's fair to be disappointed. This has been a moment in Canadian basketball that a lot of people have been pointing towards, and a lot of the players have been pointing towards, both among the group that are in camp and the ones that aren't in camp, among the management. And, this is sort of the start of what should be at least a 5-year cycle where Canada can emerge as a world basketball power. And this is an opportunity for the guys in this cohort to really make a name for themselves outside of the NBA, to really kind of weave their way into the Canadian sports fabric. But you got to play, and so it's frustrating when I think it's frustrating for a lot of people when so many guys who could be difference makers on this team aren't available to play for a number of reasons. Most of all, I think it's frustrating for the guys who have made the effort to play and are going into China a little bit shorthanded.
There are a lot of people pointing to the schedule. This tournament starts at the end of August, finishes in the middle of September. Training camp opens just a couple weeks after. You don't buy that as a reason. So what do you think the main reason is that players are dropping out? It's not just Canadians, of course. And secondly, again, how much is this impacting a tournament like this and the NBA in general when all these top-tier players don't want to participate for country?
Well, I think the swath of it, the main country that's been affected is the U.S. Of course, the U.S. is in a completely different category. They could probably send players, they have roughly about 300 NBA players, and I think they could probably go down to their bottom 100, pick 10, and do pretty damn well. They're nowhere near that. They still have a really good team. They're the favorites. They haven't lost a game internationally since 2006. They are going to qualify for the Olympics. So, the fact that some of their top stars are choosing to approach it differently, they have the option to do that because of the success they've had. A country like Canada does not have that option. It is a deep group of NBA players. It's going to get deeper as this really young kind of tier matures, but they don't have a pedigree. There's no guarantee they're going to get to the Olympics. They haven't been to the Olympics since 2000. And so what it's going to take to like I say, make Canada, allow Canada to reach the potential they have internationally is guys to make a sacrifice, to really inconvenience themselves. And I think, I struggle when people start laying out a bunch of reasons why they're not playing. I'm not saying they're not legitimate or they're not pertinent to the individuals involved, but they all those exact same issues face the guys who are playing. And so really what you can only conclude is the guys that have chosen to pass on this World Cup in China haven't put it high enough in their priority list compared to whatever their other priorities are. Doesn't mean to make them bad patriots. Don't mean we have to take away their passports. It's a very good chance that some of those guys who aren't playing will be essential figures in a team that may have to go to a last chance qualifier next summer to get into the Olympics. So you can't really kick them out the door, but it's just tough that they're not going to be around this time.
Well, Canada still has to compete with the roster it has, and it's one that boasts a lot of international experience, a lot of FIBA experience, which should bode well in a tournament like this. But again, what are the realistic expectations for a team like Canada without the NBA players and a tough group featuring Australia, Lithuania, and Senegal?
Well, I think they have a good chance to advance out of that first pool, and they have a good chance to advance in the tournament. I think it might be the best team Canada's ever had. I mean, you have guys like Corey Joseph, Kelly Olynyk, Kem Birch, all in their prime, supported by Chris Boucher, who's, as we know, an up-and-coming NBA talent. And then when you comb the international pros, guys like Phil Scrubb, Melvin Edgem, Thomas Scrubb, Kevin Pangos, like these are guys who are playing in the best leagues in Europe and maybe the best group of international pros Canada's ever had. So I think they're going to be they're going to be a good shooting team, depth at point guard, depth up front. What they're missing, unfortunately, is some scoring punch, and that's where the likes of Jamal Murray and maybe RJ Barrett and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander are really going to be felt.
It'll be interesting to see what this Canadian team does. It'll be an interesting tournament as a whole that begins at the end of the month. That's Michael Grange. Thanks a lot, Michael. You can read him, of course, on Sportsnet.ca.